Hello everyone, welcome to the third video of this series of creating end-to-end Fiori application on top of SAP S/4HANA with a flexible DB design. In my last video, I have explained about how to create a backend OData code for inserting deep insert into the database table by whenever you have multiple entities together. If you want to create a data record of multiple entities like order and order items, we can use the a deep insert technique of OData service in Gateway. We also saw creating a sample payload in our Postman plugin and created a data record in our database table in the orders as well as order item table for pizza delivery. In today's session, I would like to discuss a very nice, interesting topic which many of my students have requested. So many of them have requested me that Anubhav, in our company, we are not using SAP Web IDE. So can you guide us what should be the right way of developing applications based on Eclipse? Because Eclipse doesn't give me a possibility to make use of SAP Web IDE templates. So in SAP Web IDE Personal Edition or Edition in the cloud, we have feature of creating app using template, but in Eclipse we don't have it. So what should we do? Our company is using Eclipse. How do we get started with Eclipse, and how do we create our Fiori application on Eclipse, though we don't have a template available as in WebIDE. So first of all, I would like to emphasize on the fact that you should always start creating your first project with SAP WebIDE, because SAP WebIDE, when you create your project, it creates also the all necessary artifacts which are part of a standard Fiori application, which includes component.js, router, route match handler, manifest.json, fragments, formatters, view folder, controller folder, separate folder for utils, I18N for internationalization, and all these concepts are anyways covered in my SAP UI5 Fiori training in detail. So if you don't know about any of these concepts, please subscribe to my UI5 and Fiori training using onlinefiorytrainings.com. So just go to www.onlinefiorytrainings.com and you'll find the necessary information to learn all these things in my onlinefiorytrainings.com tutorials. So please subscribe to my training in case you want to know more about UI5 and Fiori basics along with OData. So just a disclaimer here, this session is for the people who already know UI5 and Fiori with OData. You want to understand more detailed real-time stuff, end-to-end practices. That's the reason I am recording this video, especially for my students who are already taken course from me and they want to learn advanced things. That's the reason I have recorded this video for them. Please do like, share, and comment on this video if you are if you think that it is interesting, it is helpful for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's get started now and see how can we now create first of all our first WebIDE project, or the one which we created in my previous video. I will now export it from WebIDE and put it in Eclipse and run it completely end to end from Eclipse. So let's get started. So those who don't know the previous videos, let me just quickly show you. Just go to my YouTube channel. So you can go to my YouTube channel, search Anubhav's Learning Series on YouTube. You will find my YouTube channel Learning Series for Anubhav's Learning Series. In this, you will find video number 3 and 4. These are all the two videos which are prerequisite before you watch this particular video which I'm recording currently. So remember, you have to watch video number 3 and 4, where you will understand from very basic what is the right DB design, how the OData service is created, what is $batch request, and how the deep insert is created in our previous session. So this is a continuation of this learning series video, where I will now show you creating a Fiori application in a WebIDE, extending it using Eclipse. So let's go back. So in previous video, I have already showed you how to create basic Fiori application. Now I'm going to port this application to Eclipse and going to run this application right from scratch from Eclipse. So what I've done by far, I have already installed Eclipse Oxygen in my computer, and I have also have my WebIDE personal edition where I'm creating. Now suppose your company don't want to use SAP WebIDE, then you should always get start first with WebIDE personal edition. Create your basic Fiori application using template, export this application and import in Eclipse. Let me show you how you can achieve that. So first of all, you can see this application over here. I'm going to export this application. So just right click, choose export. So my current application will be exported in my local computer. You can see it's getting downloaded. And now, before we continue, let me launch my Eclipse Oxygen, which has SAP UI5 SDK already installed. So those who don't know how to set up Eclipse, what is the prerequisite to set up Eclipse, and how can we make Eclipse ready for developing UI5 and Fiori application, please watch my YouTube video on getting started with SAP UI5 development on Eclipse. You can come to my YouTube channel, search for my YouTube channel, click on my name. You will be taken to my YouTube channel. Go to playlist in this YouTube channel, and you will find here SAP UI5 and Fiori training on WebIDE. In this, I have already posted one of the free video for you to get started with Eclipse based development. So let me just come down and show you the one which you can use to get started from scratch with very basics of Eclipse based UI5 development. So just come down, search for the video. You can see setup to create your Fiori app. Here it is. So this is the video you have to watch, video number 10 in the learning series of UI5 and Fiori training. So here you will understand how to get started with Eclipse environment, how to set up this up. Okay, so please watch this video, and then connecting to that, I come here to my Eclipse. And now what I'll do is in this Eclipse folder, I'm going to create my Fiori project. So then later point of time, the Fiori project which I exported from SAP WebIDE will be imported into this. So let me do that. Okay, so in the meantime, I'll quickly go to my downloads folder where it got downloaded. You can see this is the application from WebIDE. I just right click and extract this to a folder in my computer. So I just extract it, the one which I downloaded from WebIDE, and you see the extraction is done. And now a folder got created in my computer. I just go inside the folder, and I can go inside the web app directory, and you will see all the artifacts over here which you need to port it in Eclipse. Now let's go back to Eclipse. I just close all this stuff, and I'll create a new UI5 application. So just come to the Eclipse Project Explorer, choose New Project, choose Application UI5 Application Development Application Project, and now just provide a name over here as a My Pizza app, and I would just skip creating any initial view. I choose the library as sap.m and say finish. So this would create me a very fresh UI5 application in Eclipse. And then what I'll do is I will just go back to my folder, web app folder of what I've downloaded from SAP WebIDE. Control A, select all the files. Control C, make a copy of all these files. Come to Eclipse and just go to web content folder, select the web content folder in Eclipse, and just do a Control V. Paste all the folders and files in this folder. Done. Congratulations, you have successfully converted your WebIDE project to an Eclipse project. How do you test it now? Now, in order to test, what SAP UI5 also offers is a local file to test it. You can go to your test folder, and you can see here FLP Sandbox mock server and FLP Sandbox. Now, what is FLP Sandbox and FLP Sandbox mock server? When you create a project from SAP WebIDE, SAP will automatically create this project from template, and it will also create a mock server for you. You can find the mock server into the local service folder here, mockserver.js. If you want to understand in detail about what is mock server and how does it work, please subscribe to my SAP advanced training, SAP UI5 advanced training. So let me show you how can you find that information. So just go to again on my website, onlinefioritrainings.com. and you will find the detail of my advanced training where I've already explained about features of mock server in SAP UI5. How does it work? How can you integrate your UI5 application with Fiori Launchpad by creating groups, catalog, Fiori securities using PFCG roles and all the authentication options. So you can just come down. And this is the course you need to subscribe to if you want to understand end-to-end development of Fiori application, extending standard SAP Fiori applications using WebIDE, integrating with Fiori Launchpad, Theme Designer, Launchpad Designer, Fiori Securities, Roles Enhancements, as well as if you want to also understand how to create KPI applications on top of CDS views. This is a nice course which you can subscribe to for the advanced details. Now coming back, I will come back here. So I will just run this application with Sandbox. Sandbox means run it with real OData server. Now, before we run it with real OData server, we need to also maintain the information about server. So what you need to do is just go to your manifest.json file, and you will see here your service URL. Now it is understood that this is pointing to a local path, but our gateway server is not running here locally. So it is placed at some address using host and port name. So we have to add on the host and port information here. So let me just do that. This is our OData service. This is our host and port name. I copy this and I paste it here. Now, one interesting point, guys, whenever you try to access your UI5 application, which is running on local host, and an OData service which is running on a different domain, you will get an error called cross origin resource sharing issue. So I'll just save this and try to run it with mock server, sorry, with the Sandbox server. So right click here and try to run this application from this Sandbox server. So I just right click, run as web app preview. You will see that when I'm trying to call this application, this OData service call will fail. The reason is because it would try to find the OData server also into the local host. And any call made outside the local host system won't allow. The browser policy will prevent me to make a call to an external OData server. Okay, guys. So that's the reason I cannot use my OData URL as it is. So I will show you that issue. So let me switch back here to my browser and try to put this. Now you will also wonder how come it is giving you a launchpad like screen. This is called Fiori Sandbox Server. Fiori Sandbox Server also helps you to test all the launchpad integration of your Fiori application using a local sandbox environment. This is also covered in my advanced UI5 and Fiori training. So we'll not discuss that in detail here. I'll simply click on my application and you can see it's giving me an error. You can see it's unable to call this OData service because browser policy prevents me to do that. And this is known cross-origin resource sharing. More about this is covered in my UI5 and Fiori training in advanced module. So please subscribe to that. But you can just see that I cannot call this OData service because it gives me an error called or access control allow origin. Okay, this is the cross origin resource sharing issue. So how do you prevent it with Eclipse? So what you need to do is just come back to your Eclipse, go to manifest.json, change your URL and just do a path prefix called proxy /. That's it. You need to do this. Now what does it mean? What happens is SAP UI5, when the plugin is installed in Eclipse, it also comes with a reusable library. It's called proxy servlet. This proxy servlet is available in UI5 resources. If I just go here to the resources, you can see UI5 server-side library resources. And in this, you will find a resource called com SAP UI5 proxy, simple proxy servlet class. So this is what is the runtime component or some server-side library shipped along with this toolkit. So now we want to cheat the browser, saying that any call which you're not making to another server, still you will make a call to the local host, and in this local host this particular servlet is running, which will then redirect the call to the actual OData server. Now to make a call to this proxy servlet, you need to also look at the web.xml file where the entry has been maintained for this. So I just come to web.xml, and if you come down, you will see that if my URL starts with /proxies star, which means if my URL starting with proxy /, then call this simple proxy servlet, which is nothing but making a call to this server-side program. Clear? More about this is explained in my UI5 and Fiori basic training. So I'm not discussing much here. I'm just explaining you how we are cheating the browser by using this proxy servlet to make a call to the OData service. So just make sure that you add up this part proxy / before your service URL, save this, and now try to re-execute. So let me come back, press enter. Now it will cheat the browser, and voila, you see it's now giving me a username and password authentication box for my OData server. So it's successfully connected to my OData server. Let me provide my username password. Click on OK. And you would see, yes, you can see the data has been loaded from my gateway server. Perfect, guys. You can see this is the record which we created in last video. It's also available over here. So now what is our requirement is to create a new screen. And in that new screen, I will be providing all the necessary data for creating a new order. And then finally, we click on Save button, which would then do a deep insert to the database, which we have it using OData service, which we had built in the last video. Okay, so let's do that. I want to introduce a new plus button over here. On click of that, I want to launch a new screen. So remember, guys, you need to know all the concepts which I taught in my UI5 and Fiori training, which includes component.js, router, route match handler, manifest JSON, fragments, formatters, XML views, JSON data model, XML data model, resource model, information, I18 and library files, util directory. All these concepts you need to learn, guys, before you get into UI5 and Fiori development. That's the reason people subscribe my UI5 and Fiori course, where in 40 hours I will take you from very scratch, very base. Even you are just a college pass out, you can still learn UI5 and Fiori. Don't panic. You are an ABAPer, you're not able to learn it. You come to me, in the 40 hours I will make you an expert in UI5 and Fiori. Don't get into the trainers, those who are cheating you, those who are just teaching you copy paste, not teaching you real coding. Please subscribe to my UI5 course. You will understand all of these aspects end to end from very basic. Great. So let's get started. Add a plus button here in the master screen. So I will just come back to Eclipse. So now all the development is what I'm doing is using Eclipse. So let's come here. I will quickly switch to my view, and in my master view I just want to add a new button. So let me just come here and just come down. You will see some couple of buttons being added to my master screen, and I will also add one more button as part of my master screen. So let me just check that up. There has to be a button. You can see here there's a group item being added. A filter action is being added. So you can see this is the filter action which is being added. So maybe I just want to add a new button at the bottom. So what I'll do is I just come here and say semantic footer, and then inside this I want to add a button. I just want to add an icon for the button. Add icon. And then I want to give an action for the button. When user press this button, on add. So let's use this on add, and I can just go to controller, my master controller, and right now I just want to give a message to the user when user clicks on add button that a new screen will be popping up soon. Function. So all the processing logic goes in controller as per the MVC architecture which I taught you in the basic UI5 and Fiori training. So let me subscribe var, or maybe just sap.m.messagebox.alert. A new screen will be added soon. That's the message I want to throw. Save this. We are done. Let's come back and refresh the page. You should see a new plus button should have been added. Oops, it's giving some error, guys. The reason is my router is causing this issue. So let me switch back to the base route so that it loads the master screen as well for me. I think there's some problem in our code. So maybe I just right click and inspect and just check the console. What's the issue? Console is your best friend who will tell you if there is any issue in your code, it will reflect. Okay. So let's open the console and see what's the issue over here. In the meantime, I can also go back and check the Ui5 SDK. So you can see here there's an error. It is unable to load something called footer in the semantic area. So maybe I'll just quickly go to Ui5 SDK and see how can I include a footer button inside a semantic page. So let me come here, go to samples. So what is Ui5 SDK? How do we use it? What is aggregation? What is properties, events and methods? What is control hierarchy? All that is covered in my Ui5 and Fiori training. So if you want to understand from very basic about the entire Ui5 framework, including HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, please subscribe to my Ui5 and Fiori course. So let's go to samples over here, and we will be able to quickly check some sample code of existing semantic pages, and from there I will derive the right piece of code which I would need to create a footer button. Remember guys, in this video, for saving time, I'm doing copy paste, but in actual real training I will not do any copy paste of code. I will write every single line of code at front of you. Okay, that's my style of training. You will observe that, which is a very unique style and very effective. You will learn in 40 hours, starting from very basic, very scratch to all the detail level things. So let's come here to the samples, and I will just get some sample code for semantic page. So let it load. It's little slow. So we will have to go to view, and here this footer is not recognized by the system. Hence I have to just search for semantic page here and just check semantic page master detail. And you can see this is the master section. There's a plus button over here. So I can just switch to the code. How can I also create such a plus button on the UI? So I say add, and I think we have it. Yeah, I think we have it here. An add action available, semantic add action, that I can use it. So this piece of code is added directly in the master page section. So let me just also do that. And my press is on add. Let me save this and see what happens. I come back to my user interface and refresh the page. Voila, you can see guys, a plus button have been added over here. On click of this button, you can see a new screen will be added soon. An alert is being thrown. So let's go ahead and add a new screen on the user interface. So I'll just make a copy of an existing view. Maybe I just make a copy of my detail view and paste it again in my view folder and just name it as add view. So add.view.xml. And I just go inside the add view. Also change the controller name to add controller, to which it has to point. And I will just keep rest of all the things as same, and maybe just remove the content, just keep it empty, and also just remove all this content from the bottom. Okay, so that's what I've done. Now inside this content I will be adding all the content which I need. So right now I just add a label. I just say label and I say text, some user elements to come soon. Okay, just to test the navigation, I'm adding a simple page, and you can see this is my add view has been created. Similarly, I will also create a detail controller, make a copy of it, and create an add controller for this add view. So one-to-one relationship between controller and the view. So go to add. Now I made a copy, and you can see here I have to change the name to add view. Sorry, add controller, and rest all the things are not much needed for me. Maybe I just put here get root add, and some model is available, so I don't want this model, so I just keep it as it is and say add view. So just change this model name, control F, and that's the beauty of Eclipse. So add view, I want to change everywhere this model name, and let me just come on the top, keep these things, and just also keep the root match handler method. Guys, this is what is also covered in my basic training of UI5. So please subscribe to that if you want to understand what is root match handler. So here we go, and this is all okay. I don't want all this code, so just remove all this piece of code, guys, completely. Okay, I'm just removing all this piece of code. Save this. It's giving an error here now, some problem. Let's do a control Z. What's the error? There is some error which was thrown. Let me check. I don't want these lines of code. Just removing all of them from here. Save it. And let me also remove these methods which I don't want. Okay, just removing that. So on root matched, I just want to remove this piece also. Yeah, is this required? Not required. Yeah, I can remove that. And then here we have some more code. I can also remove this piece of code, not required anymore for me. Let me remove all this. I just want a very simple code. Just want a very simple controller. So just removing everything out. Perfect. So that's my add controller code finally. So on metadata loaded, one method. On object root match handler, another method. We have just two methods already placed in here. Okay. And this part also not required, guys. Okay. Very nice. So we have created this controller for add view. Now, time for connecting the dots. We need to launch this add view from the router. So routing configuration, as mentioned in my training, is available in manifest Json. So I'll just come down and define a new routing configuration for my, or a new route for my add view. So let me copy the detailed configuration and just give the pattern name as add. Name of the route is add, master, and add a new target. And let's define this new target over here. And the target name is add, view name is add, A capital, remember it's case sensitive, and view ID is ID add. That's it, guys. My configuration is also defined for navigating to the add view in the router. So what is a router? Please subscribe to my UI5 and Fiori training to understand what is a router and route match handler concept. It's covered in detail over there. Now I just close this, come back and refresh the page. On click of add button, now you should see the view should launch. Your add view should launch, guys. Okay, so let's try it out. I will just click on plus button and oops, it gives me a pop-up still, which means I have not yet coded for my add button. So in the master view where we have added the add button code, we have not yet called the route. So we have to call the route by calling this .get router dot nav2 and pass my root name. So it's add. Add is my root name. You can find the root name in manifest.json, which we had defined. If you come down to the routing configuration again, you can see this is my root name, add. I can change it to Anubhav also. And then I will just say the system, call this root Anubhav. Clear? So that's my root routing configuration. Now let's test it one more time. Come here, press enter. Refresh your app so that code gets uploaded. And now you can click on plus button. Let's see what happens. Oops, something is not right. You can see it's not working. When I click on plus button, nothing happened. So press F12 to see what went wrong. F12 is your best friend. You see, cannot read property attach pattern match of undefined. It has actually tried loading your controller, and you can see it is triggering add controller, and here it is causing some issue. The problem is I've changed the root name, guys, and the root name has been changed to Anubhav, but I didn't change the code in my add controller. So I have to go to add controller, and here the root name which I've changed was Anubhav, so that should be also adapted here. Okay, so let's reload the application once again, and we'll see what happens next. So it comes here and I click on plus button, and there you go. You can see it's now loading my add controller. You can see it's loading up, guys. Now I don't see the look and feel of this application looks like Fiori 2.0. So what I will do is I'll quickly change the bootstrap and also change my theme for my UI5 application. So for that, I will just search for SAP UI5 bootstrap from Akamai. What is Akamai? What is UI5 Bootstrap? Again, I would repeat, please look into my UI5 and Fiori training for more details. So I will come here and just check for CDN variant for UI5 bootstrapping. And with Fiori 2.0, we have a new theme available called SAP SAP Bleeze theme. So I will be using that. So maybe I just use SAP UI5 framework from here. Go back to Eclipse. Go to my HTML file in the test folder, and oops, I have to just close it and come down, and I just have to load UI5 framework from here, and then I'll say theme should be Bleeze theme. Okay, so I will be now loading SAP Bleeze theme for this purpose. So let's go ahead and do that. So we will be loading SAP Bleeze theme now. Save this, and now let's have a look at Fiori 2.0 theme. So let's come back and I just refresh the page and you would see Fiori 2.0 theme will be loaded. Oops, the problem is I have shut it down, my index.html execution. I have to restart this. So right click here, say run as web app preview, and you would see the port number would change to 6682 now. So I just go back and change it here. Press enter. So now the bootstrapping is done from CDN directly, and you see the new look and feel of your application looks much better with Fiori 2.0 theme. You can see some user elements to come here. Now we can go ahead and add some content to our view now. So basically I want to add a user form for creating a new pizza order, and then together with that a table where we will have all the details about products which customer would like to buy. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will just change the view name quickly. Go to my add view and change its title, and I say create new pizza order. And what I'll need is now here I need set of controls which includes all the input fields for my pizza order. So I come back to Ui5 SDK to find out some best controls, and we search for a simple form. Come inside, and I want set of forms in one single group, and you can see something of this sort I need it. So maybe I switch to the fragment and copy this simple form as it is. Copy this. Let's come down to the XML view and paste it. Okay. So yeah, that's it. And now of course I have to define my namespace for F, XML namespace for form, sap.ui.layout.form, and this should be inside here. Okay, save this. We're good. Error goes off, and now I want label. First is the customer name. Okay, I just want to put a default value as walk-in customer, and then I want, let me check the fields which I needed for OData service. So it's already there in my Postman request which I made it last time to my backend system. So we can just open our Postman plugin and check out what are all the details we needed to create a new pizza order. So let me just come here and check that up. So I'll quickly see the post request here and see what are all the different properties we need to create a new order. So you can see order date is what I need, order number. Let me put order number. I just put it blank. And what I'll also do is, guys, create a simple local JSON. So I will use the same format here for creating a simple JSON in the controller. So I just go back on the top and I'll just create a very simple data model over here. So I will just say order header, curly braces, and this whole of the JSON. And then I will just put this empty. Clear? So this is my order details. Let's just say order. So this is my payload for posting the data finally. I will just pump in this directly to my payload request. So order ID, I have order number. So I will also bind these with these properties directly with my UI control quickly. So order ID, I want to keep it blank. Order number, I want to keep it, let's say 10 always. Order date, I want to default it right now. And then order customer as walk-in customer. Order total amount, I don't want to keep anything. I want to keep it 0 for time being. Currency as INR. Save this. And now what we'll do is I will just go ahead to my view and do the binding with these properties quickly. So I'll come here and let me just do the binding. So I just come for customer number and my model name is add view model. That's my model name for binding. So I put my model name arrow and then it's slash order slash customer name. That's my binding for the property. So order number is here. Okay, and this is order number. Remember guys, it's case sensitive, so be little careful. So order number is binded. Now order date. Let's create a date field on the user interface. So let me just have to check it. What should be the ideal date field? So for that, first I'll just put here date as the label. And instead of input, we will just quickly add a date field. Okay, and just put the value equals to the binding. And I would put this as order date. Fine. The next value which you need is total amount. I don't need it. Currency I don't need it. That's it guys. Remaining things I am keeping hard coded, the total amount and currency. Just want customer name, order date, order number. That's all I need. And that's what I have created the binding with 3 of the fields. And then finally I would just create a table control, and that table control would get the data required from the table. So I just have to remove these things. Yeah, so this seems to be okay. Let's quickly test it. At least the form is available on the user interface with hard-coded data or not. So I just do a refresh. It should now display me the form. You can see all the data is also available here. You can see the data. I can choose the data quite nicely and easily. Yeah, and this data we have to then supply to create the order. Now I need quickly a database table, a user interface table to add all the items like pizzas, whatever user is choosing. Okay, now just quickly go back and change this label as well in the simple form. So come on the top, it should be order my pizza. Okay, I would just maybe name it best in pizza, new order. Okay, and then what I need is a table control, guys. So let's quickly look into the table of SAP UI5. So I will come back to UI5 SDK and check for a simple table. I want to create a very simple table like this, and just look at a column table, simple column table, and switch here and just copy the table which I need. This is the table I need it. I'm just copying it, whole table, and bring it back to my Eclipse. And I don't need much of these things. I need very few things, and that's the reason I'm just going to adapt it now. So just come back. I don't want all the cells. I want few columns. So I will also decide the columns. Before that, I just remove this header toolbar, which is extra. I would also change my binding to order. So this should be my binding /order/ and what's the binding path? Nav order items. That's what I need. Perfect. So this is what we have done it now. Okay, and this is maybe ID products. What user want to order. Let's not put any sorting path as of now. And yeah, and then let's add the columns which we need. So maybe I go back to our Postman and see what is the payload for items. So need item ID, which is automatically generated. Order ID we also don't need to pass. Item number not necessarily required. And then product ID, of course, required. Product ID and quantity we need it. Only 2 properties I need it. Which product customer would like to purchase, whether it is pizza, which pizza or soft drink or what, and then quantity. These 2 things I need it. So I just put 2 columns. And maybe I also put the third column, which is having a unique value. So let me just go ahead and do that. So what I'll do is come back to my Eclipse. I need just 3 columns. So first column is what is the product customer want. Second column I need is the quantity, what they want to order. And third column I need it is unit. How many? Unit will always be hard coded as pieces. Okay. So now I have to add 3 cells. So first cell is going to be my input field, which accepts the product ID. So I would just put a value here, maybe just value here. We'll be doing the binding later. And then next is also again an input field with quantity. type equals to number. So user can't enter any text inside this. And third is my text field, which is having fixed text as PC, guys. Okay. That's it. So that's my items table. So let's have a look at this table. At least it has been created or not. So I can come back and have a look at it. So I just, where is my user interface? Here it is. Refresh. And you can see a nice table with product, quantity, and unit has been created. There's no data into it. We have to, of course, add a header with a plus button. So items can be added to this order. So let me just go ahead and add a plus button, like it was already there in SDK. So I just removed it. So we should add something called a header toolbar. And this header toolbar, I should add a plus button, which should then insert a new record into my table. So let me just go ahead and do that. So I come here inside the table and add a new button called icon, add, and then I would just also put an action for this add. I say add new pizza, or that's it. And this controller code, I would just generate it into my add controller here. Okay. Function, and this would then generate a new blank record in my orders table. So in the nav orders, I'm going to insert a blank record with the data. So what is the data I need? So I need to create a simple data equals to curly braces, and whatever is my items information from my Postman plugin, I will take that up. This is all I need. Here you go, everything blank. Item number, I will always count the number of items currently available in the table and increment it by 1. So let me just get the table object and count the number of items inside the table. In fact, the table which we created is going to be binded by this path. So this I can directly use it to get my view model and count the number of records in that. So I say var count equals to, or maybe say o view model equals to sap.uid, or this dot get view dot get model, and there is a add view model, guys, which we have a local view model available. What is a local model? What is a global model? It's all covered in my advanced in my UI5 and Fiori training. So get property, and then just take this order items. Yeah, that gives me the exact data. How many items are by far being added? Var items equals to this, and then I can just say item dot length +1 as the order item number, okay, which will be displayed to the user. Product ID, I will keep it blank for time being. Okay, and then item quantity, at least one should be inserted by default with one PC. Clear? Let's also display the item number on the UI, guys. So let's do that. I just insert one more column with item number. This should be displayed to the user as a text. So let's do that. Item number, and the text should be binded. So let me do the binding now with these properties. So it should be a relative binding path. So first is my item number, curly braces, add view. This is my binding path, relative binding. So what is relative binding? What is absolute binding? Again covered in my UI5 and Fiori training in detail. Then comes is the value equals to this binding, and then this should also be binded to my property, unit of measurement. And this should be quantity. This should be product ID. Okay, so product ID, text. Yeah, that's cool. And now I can come back here, and this is what I've created. And this simple data I'm just going to inject in my items. So I say items dot push, and this simple data I'm inserting. new record, and then finally I'm going to update this in my table. So I just call set property API and update these items to the user interface. Perfect. Save this. We are done. Let's click on plus button on the table, and this should insert a new item record as part of my user interface table in the Fiori application. Let's come back. And here it is. Let's refresh. You should see now a plus button in the table control. And when I click on plus button, watch carefully what happens. So item number, product, a quantity, and unit one blank record will be inserted. Wow. One more, you see two, it's inserted. One more, three got inserted. So now user can enter all the product IDs. Now remember guys, product IDs are too technical information for business user to enter. So here we want to probably create a drop down, and that drop down should display me all the products available in the system. So instead of a text field, I want a drop down for choosing my pizzas or the products which user want to order. So let's go ahead and do that. And that drop down will be binded to my entity set called products. So let's come back and just switch to Eclipse and then come here to this product ID here, and I will change this to a select control or a combo box control. So that's what I'm doing. Combo box control, I'm switching it, and then what I'll do is I'll just enter here the items for combo box, and this should be binded to my slash products set entity set, and the items should be created like core item class text and key. So let me add the text and key here. So the text should be, let me just fire a get request on my product set entity set. Product question mark dollar format is JSON. So this should get me the products data now. And you can see here all the product data is available for us in the JSON format. So I can choose the name here as the text which should be visible to the user, and I will choose the product ID as the key property for this drop down value. And this core has to be defined on the top now. This should point to SAP UI core library. Save this, we are done. Let's come back and refresh the page. We should see a nice drop down with all the product pizza information will be available to us. Why it's giving an error? Prefix core for item is not bound. Let me just check guys, what's the issue? Did I put it correctly? No, XML namespace. Yes, that's the mistake. And yeah, we are ready now with the drop down which displays you all the products information available in the product store, in the pizza store. So let's refresh. Watch the magic of binding. Click on plus and oops, it's not working. It didn't load all the products. Ideally it should have loaded with the binding. Why it didn't load? I guess there is some problem. So products set items. Yeah, this seems to be okay for combo box control. And then we have each of the item getting binded. I think I missed the curly braces here to indicate that it's a binding. Save this. That should be the reason, I guess. I hope so. And voila, there you go. All the products from the OData service are now loaded. So you can choose any pizza which customer is ordering. So now you are here with me as my first customer. So please tell me your name. So your name is, let's say, Jackie Joan. Okay. And maybe your order number is 10 and the order date is probably today's date, and you want a margarita pizza 1, and then you want probably a fresh veggie pizza 2 products, and then you want maybe 1 PepsiCo and maybe 2 PepsiCos you need. And then I just need a save button guys to shoot this data up to the backend service, and finally this order should be persisted in my final database table. What an amazing example. A complete fully transactional app guys, ready for you to consume using deep insert. All the latest concepts are covered. I hope you are able to grab all the aspects of it, especially the students who have already taken UI5 Fiori training from me. They should be able to understand this whole stuff. Those who are still not able to understand, please subscribe to my UI5 Fiori training. You will get a complete idea of how this can be built end to end. We're already doing it in 40 hours of course. I will teach you from very scratch. Even you are just college pass out, you can learn it quite easily. It's not a big deal for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a save button. On click of save button, I just have to fire a request to the backend, sending this information and creating my OData request. So let's add a save button finally at the bottom of the page. So I come back to Ui5 SDK and search for semantic. Once again, semantic page, want to introduce a save button at the bottom. So I just switch to the sample code, and then let's see if there is a button which I can create. So maybe yes, print action, jam action, email, favorites action, flag action, edit action. So there are a lot of different variety of actions you have it. Maybe I just use one of the action. This action I will use, and let me just go ahead and let me see if there is a save really available. Not available, then maybe I'll just use a normal button. So I come here to add view and just add at the bottom a save button. So let me just come here, semantic add action, and just say icon equals to SAP-icon, save icon, and on click of this on save should be triggered. And in on save, I'm going to write my code to send this data to my backend gateway server and persist this order in the system. Okay, and finally throw a message sap.m.message toast and say your order has been created successfully. 20 minutes or free. Save this. Let's do a mock testing for this. On click of save button if it is appearing, and on click of save button does it give you a message or not. You can see there's a plus button icon. That's your save icon actually. Click on that and it should give me a toast message. It is not giving me, which means there is some problem. So I think let's press F12 and see what's the problem. I got it. I think I missed the API name dot show. And let's come back, refresh. And I again click. Watch carefully. On click of this, you can see the message is being thrown, but actually we now need to make a real post to the backend server. So for that, you need to use your OData instance, and what you can do is you can call var OData object equals to this dot get view dot get model. This gives you the OData model object, guys, available at the view level. Remember, that's the default model for all the views. Hence, I didn't give any name of the model. And now what I'm going to do is I'll just prepare the data. So data is already also prepared in your /order view model. So your local view model also, you got to get it here. And using this local view model, you just got to get the property now. So just get the /orders property now, which gives you all the values for payload. So this gives me final payload for my deep insert, which is equivalent to what we have in the Json prepared earlier in the Postman plugin. And then I'm just going to call this dot create, and my entity set name is /orders set, and I will be passing my payload here, comma, curly braces, and on success of my post request, once there's a success comes from backend, I'm going to throw this message to the user. If the call is failed, if there is an error in the backend, it's not able to save my data, I will just throw an error message. So I will just switch to message box.error and I say some error, please give me time to bake pizza. Okay, some funny error message I'm throwing, and we are done. That's it. We are done, guys. it should now create the OData call to the backend. It should create it. So let me quickly show you setting up a breakpoint in our S4HANA system and see if you are able to receive the call from the front end or not. Now, one interesting point, I missed it. When you are passing the data, you have to pass the key property, key value of what you choose. So let me be very sure if it is collecting the key value or not for the products. It should collect the key values, guys, for these products. Okay. So though we don't have a validation in the backend, it may be, let's let it be as it is. We don't want to check it. So let's go ahead and shoot this up. So maybe I just quickly connect to our S4HANA system once again and set up a breakpoint in deep insert to see what happens when this call is going from the Fiori app to the backend. Okay, and we should also be able to see this order being created in the backend system. That's what my main intention is. So move 5 and I just go to SC11 and just show you the orders table, best in pizza. And just go inside. And just go to SC24 and set up a breakpoint here. Go to my DPC extension class. And as usual, in the last session, I showed you how to make a request, post request from the Postman plugin. Similarly, now I'm showing it from here. And let's go ahead and fire the request from the Fiori app. Let me just quickly refresh my Fiori app so that all the code is updated. And now I just give my customer name as Jimmy Verraro. Order number is 11. Order date is, let's say, 5. And then I just create a new margarita, 2 margaritas, 1 farmhouse, 2 cheesy dips, and 5 PepsiCo. Click on shoot. Let's fingers crossed and see what happens. So I clicked on plus already. Oops. Some technical error occurred in the first hand itself. You can see there's an error with bad request, which means we are doing something wrong. Error while parsing the request. Let me just be very sure. So I will debug now my code. I press F12. I think this could probably because of date field. Okay, because we are using date field and that's not being properly being sent to the backend. So maybe let me check it. What could be the possible resolution of this issue? So let's switch to the controller where we have the code in place. And I will set up a breakpoint here on my create OData create method and look at the payload. So guys, maybe the issue is with the date or probably with the with any other data which we are passing. So let me be right now not use this current date which we are taking from the date control. Rather than let me hard code the date as current date. Okay, so let me just go ahead and do that first. So maybe what I'll do is I come back to our Eclipse based Fiori application and then I just go to my payload and you can see here somewhere in the payload we are using date. So maybe I'll change the date at runtime, guys. Okay, before posting it. So payload dot and I would use order date. So what's the field name? Let me check in the view. So we have used here the order date somewhere. Here it is. And this order date I am going to change now. So I'll say this equals to Json dot stringify. Let me check that in the browser. So I just come here, json.stringify of new date. That's what I'm hard coding for time being, guys, just for testing purpose. And there is also one more interesting thing which I missed. Whenever you implement an insert with a $badge, you should also implement 2 important methods in your gateway DPC extension class. These 2 methods are begin change set and end change set. These 2 methods are very important, guys. At least you have to provide an empty implementation of these 2 methods when you're triggering something from Fiori app, which is a post request in a $badge. So these 2 methods are not implemented. Let me quickly provide a blank implementation for them. and I just go back, and here also this one, the change set end, I'm also providing a blank implementation. Typically I can now write here inside this a commit work, but right now I'm just giving a blank implementation and activate the DPC extension class. And now let's go ahead and test it one more time. And let me just close it and refresh my app, because I made also a change for the date. And I just come here and say Jimmy Barrero and just give order number 11 one more time. Click on plus and I just choose Margarita 2, and I choose country special 2, and then I would just choose PepsiCo 5. Let's shoot this up. This time I'll also first debug, press F12. We already have a debugging point set on our source code. So I click on plus button and you can see it's coming to the create method now. And let's look at the payload. So you see the payload has the date already in place. And then we have order number, fine. Total amount is 0, that's okay. Nav items are also in place. Looks like it should be okay. Let's press execute. Again, some error have come. I think it could be because of date. Let me try one more time. And this time I'll change the date value at runtime. So I come here and you see there is an extra double quote in the date. With this Z thing, I'm removing it. And now let me try one more time posting this data. Press F8. Again an error. Now maybe let's go to our gateway client and see what's the error. So I go to our backend system, iwfnd/error log, and let's see what's the issue. Gateway is throwing some issue. Change set processing failed. That's the error it is giving. Okay, it's giving an error. Change set processing failed. Let me see here also. Is it the same error? But here it's saying XML parsing error while XML parsing stream. So these two are contradictory, but in the gateway client, it's giving a different error. Okay. Now, there is something wrong with our payload for sure then, if it's giving XML parsing errors. So there's something which we are missing. Let me change this value to, let's say, 200.00. Order number is 11. That's okay. Now I have to change the time zone also again. Time should be this format. Okay. This is okay. And this all seems to be fine for me, guys. Let me also compare it with JSON payload. So order number was not in double quote. So let's remove the order number double quote from here. So that's how you can test it. And then you have this date. That's okay. It's here. Then you have the customer name in double quote. Fine. Currency in INR. Okay. Then you have nav order items. Let's look at the payload again. Nav order items. Each item has item ID, item number, order ID, product ID, quantity, and unit of measurement. So quantity, unit of measurement, item number. This is all seems to be okay. Let's shoot this up now. Execute. Looks like something is happening. Voila, you can see it's hitting my breakpoint finally, guys, in the backend system. I can just check the data which is received by the backend. So it's definitely the data format which is causing the issue. You see product number was actually passed as a string. That's why it was not working. Okay, now got it. And let me just execute it. Hope you remember. Yes, your order has been created successfully. 20 minutes for free. Let's search for Jimmy Barrero in the database table and see if there's a data available or not for this pizza order. Congratulations, you can see there is an order from Jimmy Barrero which has been created, which means our code has an issue first of all with the order number. It's passed as a string, so I have to convert it to a number, and then let me try. So let's go back, correct all the code wherever needed. So maybe I think date is not an issue. I'll comment out the date part and just need the order number to be corrected properly. So this dot order number equals to this dot order number, and I say parse int. So I'm basically converting my string to integer. Save this and let's give a try one more time. Hopefully date could be an issue, guys. So maybe we will check that if it doesn't work. I'll keep the date also. Let's try now. And I would just again try a new record. And maybe I say try one more. And I say 12. And just keep the time and date, which is okay here. And I click on plus. Just make one product, Jeppelino, 5 pieces. And let's shoot up. There's an error. Definitely there's some error in our payload, guys. This is what is the problem. Last time we saw when we corrected the payload manually, it was working fine. So I'm sure it's again with the date which is causing this issue. So you can come to the payload, and yes, you see this date is a culprit. So this is something you can also enhance using JavaScript code. You can maintain it, and order number is okay now, and this is all okay, and looks like fine. Let's execute this. I corrected the date in the debugging. F8, something is happening, and you see breakpoint hits. Wow. So date is the culprit, guys, which we need to correct it, and it's created. So let's scroll down. You can see try one more. This has also been created successfully. You see the product details. The one which we created with Jimmy Barrero has 3 products. They are also visible here. Perfect. It's all working, guys. Congratulations. End-to-end Fiori transactional app with deep insert is working best in pizza, is happy with your services, happy with your Fiori application. So if you want to learn more interesting video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please give me your feedback in comments. You can also download the whole source code from my website, onlinefiorytrainings.com. So just search for my website, onlinefiorytrainings.com. You can download the complete source code what I've created here from my website. So just go to the website. You will find my learning series over here, Anubhav's learning series over here. Just go to that, and you can download the complete source code from here, okay, including this presentation. Okay, so see you with the next video. Have a nice day and goodbye.